In one of my recent videos I had somebody ask me, how do you operate a lock? Can you show us? So this is what I'm going to do. Your wish is my command. Now these locks, this one in particular is at Calcutt, and Calcutt locks are double locks, which makes it more difficult for a single solo boater. Let me show you why. As it's a double lock, you can fit two boats alongside each other, and that makes it harder because you've got to get your boat to one side. So you can climb up the ladders like that one over that side. You can choose whichever side you want, and if the lock is not in your favour, that means it's full up of water, which this one was. You then have to drain it, and you do that by these contraptions. This is what's called a gate paddle. That's where there's a paddle or gate underneath the water line, which opens up when you wind up the paddle, and that lets water out to equalize the levels. And as you can hear, it's not getting too far away. That's where it drains out. Now we can just give it a gentle push to see if it's equalized. If it is, then the gate will move, and it doesn't, of course. So I need to give it another minute or two. Well, I think that's just about there. So, yeah, there it goes. Now, these gates are extremely heavy, and some of them it's actually got the weight, like 5,000 kilograms, made of solid oak. And these ones you may be able to see are a little bit worse for wear. This is top lock at Calcutt. They were last changed in 1999, so it must be getting close to the time when they have to be replaced. The bottom lock at Calcutt was done just a few months ago. We must always remember to put the gate paddles down again, because if you close the gate and leave the paddles open, the water just all goes through, which is not good for the next people. There's an indicator on this particular one that shows you if the paddle's open or not by a rod that goes up into the air. And that's that done. Alright, let's go and get the boat. As you can see, these gates are a little bit leaky, so they will need replacing next year probably. I think what I'll do once I get myself settled tonight is to draw you some nice pretty pictures of locks to give you a better idea of what's actually happening in the lock, where the water comes in, the different kinds of paddles and gate paddles and ground paddles. That's the other one. Right, the first thing I need to do is to apologise to all boaters out there with some experience. My brain had a, how can I put it, a brain bum burp when I was talking about the paddles at Calcutt. I kept calling them gate paddles. They are in fact ground paddles. So apologies to everyone out there screaming at the screen saying you got it wrong. I realised afterwards that I had got it wrong, so once again sorry for that. So let me explain the difference. I'll talk about ground paddles first because that's what I mentioned in the video. This top picture here is like from an aerial view, so you're looking above the lock down on them, and the one below just here is a side-on view, effectively a cutout of the lock from the side. So ground paddle, you can see here there's something I've labelled as a culvert. That's essentially a pipe that runs from one side of the lock gate to the other. The ground paddle opens and closes that pipe, in other words moving water from one side to the other. Now when the ground paddle is opened, as you can see in this picture here, the water goes down that pipe into the lock, the water level goes up, ready for the boat to come in from this side into there once the gate's opened. The other type of paddle is the gate paddle. Now it's been quite difficult to, I haven't got a picture of my own that I took, and I can't really use somebody else's pictures, so I will try and explain it to you. A gate paddle has a mechanism that's actually attached to the gate on top, and it's usually got like a ratchet system where it either has a ratchet that you lift up vertically or moves it to one side, and that paddle or gate in the bottom of the gate is moved to one side, which lets water in or out from that point. So hopefully that has explained it a little bit to you, to the difference between the two different types of paddles. So hopefully this is explained just a little bit in a small amount of detail. This is where it gets a bit tricky, because I've got to go into the lock, pull over to one side. In this case I'm going to go probably on the left hand side because the left hand gate's open, climb out the boat while still hanging on to everything, the rope and the windlass, tie it off so it stays to one side so you can get back on, close the gate, and then open the paddles the other end. Just reversing up a little bit so that I can get the front of the boat out ready to go into the lock. So I'm going to have to like a 3-point turn. Go back a bit further. Slight breeze that's holding me against the bank, so just take it out further and then make my way back. Right, it's going to be easier getting off, pushing the front off. Better. Now I might wait for these people who are coming up from the lock behind me, because double lock, it's a lot easier with two in there. And going into lock, you've got to try and make sure you don't crash into the gate or the side. People behind me decided that they were going to stop as well, get some fuel and empty their toilets, so I'm going to crack on. Already opened the gate paddle halfway and my boat is starting to come up now. As you can see, there's quite a lot of vegetation collecting in the canal. Here we go. Can you tell? It's heavy. So that is how I did the lock. Perhaps not as in depth as it could be, but hopefully my pretty drawings will make the difference. The chap very kindly offered to close the gate for me so I didn't have to stop and get off again. And that's the thing about cruising on the canals, it's that community, help each other spirit, which is fantastic.